Hi, Shelley.
Hi, Travis.
I wasn't sure what the agenda was for today, so I sent you a quick email, but I don't know if you got it. It doesn't matter now because I have to use my phone to print it, so
Okay.
ignore my email.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see everybody. Shelley, I believe that ACE Chair Nixon has confirmed his attendance at this meeting. Is that correct, Shelley?
He has.
So Judy, in the event that the chair is absent, this would fall on your shoulders as vice chair to pilot this ship. And while we have a quorum present, and Judy, we can proceed as you wish, and the ACE Chair Nixon may join at some point during the meeting.
Okay, Shelley, could you please do a roll call?
Andrea Mannion,
Here.
Amy Gallegos,
Here.
Dylan Rye, Brad Nixon, Travis Ridley,
Here.
Judith Dunlap,
Here.
Nathan Hoag,
Here.
Steve Paul,
Here.
looks like Brad just joined us. David Carroll,
Here.
Rita Russell,
Present.
Darren Hollingsworth. We do have a quorum.
Sorry, I missed roll call, guys.
Hey, Brad.
Welcome, Brad.
Thanks for charging forward without me. I appreciate that. You guys are on autopilot. That's what I love about you.
You can still ask for the minutes to be approved. How about that?
Well, I move that we accept the minutes as is.
Second.
Judy, you're doing such a great job. Keep charging forward.
Everyone that agrees to accept the minutes of May 2021, please raise your hand. Looks like that's approved. Okay, take it away, Brad.
All right. Well, thank you, Judy. I think we've got 2 items on our agenda. If I could, I can't remember what way that they're actually listed on the agenda, but if I could just suggest that we do our nominations for chair and vice chair first, and then we can vote on those, and then we can get into the discussion about the disposition of ACE. So one thing I do need help with from Shelley or Darren is, would you please tell me on July 1st of this year, who will still be on ACE? Because those would be that's the eligible pool of candidates for chair and vice chair.
Darren, do
So-
you want me to go ahead? Or go ahead, Darren.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shelley. So Drevis her term will continue into July. Nathan Hoag's term will continue into July. And there have been 3 new ACE members appointed by City Council whose term starts July 1st. Maria Berghoff, I believe she owns a local yoga studio. Tate Hagstrom, he's with Swedish Medical Center. And Andrea Mannion. All terms begin on July 1st. Or excuse me, yes, July 1st.
So technically, we still have Andrea. She'll be back on, so she would be eligible to be in any of these positions.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, I will accept any nominations for chair at this point for ACE, and that would be starting on July 1st of 2021. That would be this year.
I'd like to nominate Andrea Mannion as chair.
I second that.
I would like to also nominate Nathan Hoag.
Nathan Wig. Is Nathan here today?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right.
Brad, I think you're muted if you're talking.
I'm talking, sorry, David. I need help with the procedural. Do we need a second for a nomination?
We do.
Come on, guys. All right, I'll second.
All right. So we have, if there's no others, we have 2 nominations for the position of chair. So Andrea Mannion and Nathan Hoag, beginning in July 2021. And Shelley, is it easier just to do a roll call?
Yes. Do you want me to go ahead and do that?
Yes, please, if we could do that. So the 2 candidates are Andrea and Nathan, beginning July 1st of this year.
Okay. Amy Gallegos?
I have a question first. So we're just voting on chair now. We already, vice chair is already still carrying over. Is Judy carrying over?
No.
So we
No.
have to decide on chair and vice chair today.
That's correct, Amy. We'll do vice chair after we do chairman.
Okay, and so right now we need a name.
For vice chair, but can we vote on chairman first or?
Right. Okay, so Andrea.
Yeah, Amy, you're asking if you're supposed to say a name in response to your, right? And
Right, yeah.
when your name is called, you need to say a name. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay, Brad Nixon?
Nathan Hoag.
Travis,
Andrea,
Judith,
Andrea Mannion.
Nathan,
Are you allowed to vote for yourself? Is that
sure.
procedurally okay? Yeah, sure. I'll throw my name out there.
Andrea,
I guess I'm voting for myself then. That feels weird.
It does.
question, Darren, Steve's an alternate, but we do have a quorum. He is unable to vote if I'm correct.
Sorry, I was on mute, y'all. So according to the bylaws, the alternate position would vote in the event that we do not have a quorum in order to make a quorum. So Steve's serving in an alternate capacity, and alternates can chime in, have a voice, but the vote is not official from an alternate standpoint according to the bylaws.
Okay.
Okay,
So that status didn't change a few months ago when last fall when one of the other board members left, or so I'm still alternate then, is that right?
yes, Steve, you're still alternate.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So it sounds like Andrea is our new chair for ACE beginning July 1st of this year. Congratulations, Andrea.
Yay, thank you.
All right, I will accept nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Nathan Hoag.
I second.
Okay, so do we have any others?
No, not right now.
Y'all, I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm looking at the bylaws, and I know Andrea has previously served as chair for 2 consecutive terms prior to this appointment. And as bumpy as this is going to sound, I don't know how to advise, and I would want to get advice from the city attorney perhaps on how to proceed. Officers of ACE shall be elected to one-year terms. No officer will serve in the same capacity for more than 2 consecutive terms, according to the bylaws, and it's written into the ordinance. So Andrea served two consecutive terms as chair just a few years ago. Is that correct, Andrea? Prior to Brad Nixon taking over as chair, is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
I don't know how to read that from a legal standpoint other than just a common person approach to looking at the bylaws. And I think that this might need an interpretation. At least that's what I'm kind of sensing at the moment. And if we want to carry on with the business at hand, I could see if I can pop into the attorney's office to see if I can gather this information. It's a quick, he may not be there, but at any rate, I would almost want to get some additional, or suggest to the board that we might get some additional feedback on how to proceed, given the fact that the current chair nominee has previously served in this capacity in 2 consecutive terms.
Aaron, if you could do that for us, that would be great, so that we could complete this task. We will go ahead and I guess we can table the rest of this until we hear what you have to say. Is it Mary now? Is Mary her name?
I'll approach one of the assistant city attorneys. I'll excuse myself for just a moment and I'll be back.
Would I be allowed to do vice chair then? Because I haven't served in that.
Yeah, why don't we just swap it
Yeah,
in the chair?
because I'll be happy to change my vote to Nathan to be chair.
I'll
We
change
can-
to,
We can do that.
Why don't we just do that?
Mhm.
I don't know, Darren, that might mess up your steps for the day.
Just saying.
Okay, I'm willing to accept any motion.
I motion to nominate Nathan Hoag for chair and Andrea Mannion for vice chair.
I second. Good idea.
Would I clarify that to say that this supersedes the previous vote that we just took?
Yes.
Do we need a separate vote to like nullify that? I know it's kind of silly, but
Just in case.
yeah, like procedurally, do we need to
I think so.
undo what we did and then redo something? I don't.
You can amend the amend the motion.
Oh, okay. So that's what we're moving, right? That we amend the motion.
And
Yes.
I probably have to do that, Shelley, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to amend the motion of Andrea Mannion as chair.
I second. I'm good at that.
Yes, you are.
Shelley, is that clear how that amendment's working?
Yes, it is.
All right, all those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
All right. Now, the second motion that we have, which is, do we have to vote on the second half of that, Shelley, or did we do that all in one fell swoop?
Oh,
That was
vote
Amy.
for Nathan.
So I'm sorry, Shelley, do we have to clarify that now that Nathan is chair and Andrea is vice chair?
Yes, please.
All right, so I'll take that motion again that we had before. Somebody offer that up for chair and vice chair?
Go ahead.
I'll nominate Andrea Mannion as vice chair of ACE.
I second.
Hoag is chair.
And Nathan is chair. You need to
Right.
say that.
Okay, all those in favor of Nathan Hoag being chair and Andrea Mannion being vice chair, raise your hand. Thank you. All right. Sometimes this is a little bit more difficult over Zoom, especially when I got a little bit of background noise here, which I apologize for. All right, second item on the agenda that we have is to discuss how we want to work in the future, which would be for ACE. I believe we have a motion and we also have some information from David that we can probably have David talk to us again about. But I'd like to have some discussion around what we had talked briefly about last meeting. And David, if you could highlight that for us again to kick off our discussion, I would very much appreciate it.
Sure. And so after talking to all of you on the, except for I think Steve and Travis, I didn't get to talk to you. What the chamber was proposing is that we would fold ACE into the chamber. What that would include is a year membership into the chamber, and and then also, if you so wanted, after talking with some of you, I know some of you were like, well, I'm not really interested in maybe a leadership position, but if you wanted a leadership position, that would be available either at the board or a committee. We have a committee, just to further, we call it our External Affairs Committee, that handles advocacy and outward facing to not only the business community, but to the city as well. So that might be another committee that, I mean, fits within those options. But we could work with the group if they were so wanted to move in this direction. We'd work with you on whatever made sense.
So I have a comment. I'm thinking for now maybe we should keep ACE for a little while longer. Just for the purpose of seeing how that goes. A lot of people from ACE are moving to Chamber, which is good. And I think we should keep ACE for a while longer at a minimum until City Council feels comfortable. But I feel like we do serve a really strategic, unique position under City Council to assist them. I think it's your goal to do that, and I approve of that. But I'd like to see ACE continue for a while longer. Just saying.
Sure.
Okay, what other comments do we have?
I'd just like to ask a question, David. Do you see this committee as, how redundant do you see this committee? And do you see that there's a conflict of interest between the committee and the chamber as it is right now? Or is it something?
Oh, you mean between ACE and the chamber?
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think Drevis said it after our presentation, after the presentation that I gave, when you said, it looks like we're doing the same thing, that we're trying to do the same thing. Maybe maybe you could say that the chamber isn't doing as well in certain areas and ACE isn't doing as well as certain areas. And so I don't see it as a zero sum where somebody, part loses so the other can win. I saw it more as an infinite kind of game where we all kind of won. It just made to me the voice stronger. But again, that's up for discussion. That was my approach. Really where it came from and was the idea, I think when we were talking about, I was talking to Darren and Brett Powers about the DDA in part, and started to realize that, with Brad and Amy and others, maybe there wouldn't be many people on ACE. And would this be a good time to combine the two to have a, one strong voice for the business community? It was just a thought. So that's where I was coming from. And when and I think the response that I got from both Darren and Brad was, oh, interesting, but what do the other members think? And so that's where I went around to try to make a meeting with everybody just to get a general sense of what everybody thought. And the only reason why I felt we moved forward with even the presentation at the last meeting was I got a sense that almost everybody said, that makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe that we should consider that. So that's where I'm at.
One thing you brought up at the last meeting was concern that the chamber was going back, needed this help. I don't know if that's exactly how you put it. You were concerned about the existence of the chamber. Did I hear that right last time?
No, I don't. I think that might have been a comment to somebody else's comment that, I think the comment as I heard it was that maybe again, that's kind of that zero sum, that the chamber was only focused on its members. And I think what I was trying to reiterate is we need to talk to those members, but we also need to talk to all businesses, because in a large part, I would guess in your business as well, anybody's business, right? Even though you have a subset of customers that you take care of, you're not done, right? You're still looking and trying to reach out to other customers and other people that you can, and we're constantly doing that. Even though we have 212 members, we're constantly reaching out to new businesses all the time to try to understand, does the chamber fit for them, and what can we provide? What kind of value can we provide? Did that kind of answer? Is that kind of maybe what you heard? Because I think I could say that the chamber last year and this year looks stronger financially than it's ever has been. So that's a positive. I feel like we've, developed a stronger voice in the advocacy and working with other partners, that being the city, like we said, ACC, Arapahoe Douglas Works. Those were things that hadn't happened in the past, and we're moving in that direction. So, and we'll continue to try to work with people, again, with that kind of infinite sum where everybody works together. But there was maybe some in the past, I do understand, and even I had a conversation with a past city director today in another meeting. And I got a sense that that was the way that the chamber had worked in the past. Maybe it was only focused on its member base. And I would say in part, maybe that was because of the communication, the way the communication was done. It was done primarily through mail. And so that was the addresses that they had. But what I tried to suggest in the presentation was, now that we're on social media everywhere, almost anybody can see what we're doing. And our base in our emails and social media is much larger than our member base. I think that helps as well. Businesses that are trying to promote different things, is that we're not businesses just talking to our members, we're talking to abroad, was my approach.
Thank
I don't
you.
know if,
That's
yeah,
helpful.
yeah, that helps.
David, I didn't want to change. I remember I had said specifically that I think we were moving toward ACE being absorbed by the chamber. And I needed to look at that and think about that a little longer. And I have to tell you, my only fear is that if we're not a paying member of the chamber, how strong is our voice versus ACE is designed specifically to give individual businesses a voice that would be heard by city council. And I think it puts an extra step in the chamber to do that, whether they're a chamber member or not. I think that the reason the chamber is different now is because of you, because you see a broader perspective of the purpose of the chamber than previous heads. And so the difference you'll make will be immense. But then once you're gone from the chamber, we may not have the same voice, or the businesses may not have the same voice that it will have under you. And so then my thought is, well, maybe we need to keep ACE around a little while longer until some of those issues are ironed out. And we know for sure city council has the pulse of the enterprises within Englewood.
And
that's my only thought. That's where I
Sure.
get like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this all right now. Maybe we should do it in steps or take a little time and see how the flow is.
Sure. And that's fair. I think, and you're absolutely right, depending on, I guess that's where, and maybe this isn't the way you see it, that's where the leadership position of all of you made sense. Because if you were in the leadership position, if you wanted to be on the board, if you wanted to be in committee, you would have that voice on the board. That, to be honest, I report to the board, right? And so I would be reporting to that voice, and it would be important to not only the board, but if you felt that was important to be on that board, to make sure that that was always part of the dialogue that the chamber was taking on, right? That if you saw an executive director, a new executive director that wasn't me, that wasn't moving in that direction, as board members, that would be important to say, hey, we can't just be so narrow-minded, we have to be broader. But I understand that concern. Sure. I mean, I think I carry a little weight of the previous that maybe did not do that. And so there is that. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, the board recognizes Nathan.
I think I said this in our last meeting, but I just want to reiterate that I agree not only with the enfolding of ACE into the chamber, but I do think that the timing is right with the formation of the DDA, the strength of the chamber, and I think that transition or movement of the chamber more towards commerce more generally in Englewood. And I see your point, Travis, that is a David thing, but that's really becoming more of a chamber thing. That's becoming more of the culture of the chamber, which, if it's strong, will outlast whoever's in the director position. And we get to carry that on as, board members and potentially committee members if there are some subcommittees and that kind of thing. So I think that it's been clear for a little while now that there are quite a few redundancies between ACE and the chamber. And and we've talked about this, but when we see the history of the formation of ACE and the need for it, when the chamber was weak, in that regard, it was more of a task force that is, I think, ready to not dissolve, but to be enfolded into something that has, some more, a little more authority and resources in order to get some things done. So I'll just kind of reiterate what I've been saying, which is that I think not only is this the right decision, but it is the right time to do it. I can see why, Travis, I do see an opportunity for it being gradual or multi-phased. Like we can make the decision, we can start the process, we can pick a date where it actually happens, but we can take some time. And obviously council still has to approve this. So it's going to be quite some time, I think, before we have a full on, transition. But yeah, just wanted to state my reasoning again, and kind of state my, it's not an official vote, obviously, but just sort of tip my hand in that direction.
Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, so Darren and Shelley, as of July 1st, we will only have 5 members. Is that correct?
6.
That is correct. 5 members, and again, Steve Paul as alternate.
So with a 9-member supposed to be board, I mean, to make a quorum, do we still need 5 people?
A quorum is a simple majority of those present, or of those appointed, excuse me, and that would be a quorum of 3.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was like, does everyone have to show up to even, continue for ACE to do things? I was just gonna agree that I just think it's also good timing, I know our memberships are going down, we're having less people apply to join ACE. And I would like to make a suggestion that maybe the chamber could create a committee, and we keep our same name, right? Because I know Drevis liked the name. So maybe a chamber creates a subcommittee called Alliance for Commerce in Englewood, where we're just all on that committee. We do the same things, we can go out, interview businesses, do walkabouts, whatever. And then we can still, report to the board of the chamber, and then also to city council. So maybe that's my suggestion. As a transition, we just basically take our whole committee, make it a subcommittee of chamber, and it's all of us doing the same thing, or anyone else on chamber who wants to join.
And I think we would, the board and chamber would be open to that as a suggestion, as an amendment as well. Yeah, I mean, I like that.
Amy, go ahead.
So in thinking about this over the past couple of months, a lot of the things that have already been brought up here today, I agree with. The only place that I really saw ACE being able to fill a gap, if you will, is focusing on areas of the city that are not in the central business district, the medical district, and those sorts of things. So other parts of the city. And that's where, in addition to what Drevis mentioned about non-membership businesses in the chamber, those were the gaps that could be filled by ACE. And so if there was a separate entity, as Andrea just mentioned, in a committee form under the chamber, I think that could fill those gaps. Or if there was a way to make an amendment to the chamber's bylaws or mission statement, just saying that they would, be not more interested, but put an emphasis on reaching out to all the parts of the city and continuing to try to increase membership with non-members, that those gaps might not be as large.
And Amy, I can send you, I don't know if you happen to see the distribution list of our members. I know that was a concern for yours at the last meeting when I presented that. I did just a map, a Google map of all the, and though we have a lot of members in that central business district, as you mentioned, in large part because that's where a lot of our businesses are. I think what that map showed is that we do have, a handful of members as far as Federal and Bellevue, up to Bellevue, and as far north as, what is our furthest of Englewood? Is that Evan? It's not Evans, but it's where
Dartmouth, I think.
Dartmouth. Yeah, that we do have members in those areas, and we're talking to, more that are like that. Like I said, for us, our membership should be at 400 if we were to meet a benchmark of chambers our size, and so that is a direction that the board and the staff of the chamber are trying to figure out. It's just trying to find that, I think in a large part, finding that value. When the chamber was primarily just networking, there wasn't as much value. But now that we provide the programming and the advocacy efforts, I think there's been more value. And interestingly enough, because of the social media and stuff, we've got members that are even outside of our state that are joining the chamber because they find Englewood interesting as a possible destination of opening another business here.
If I could chime in, I wanted to give a couple things that I guess were on my mind. There's three things for me. First one is, David, kudos to you and the rest of the chamber for being proactive in getting out there and talking to the business community and advocating for different issues with the city on behalf of the business community. I've actually been real impressed with that. And I guess over time, I've also learned that there have been members from council that have reached out directly to the chamber for that type of feedback and that type of understanding what's going on in the business community, some of the stuff that we've gone through during COVID. So specifically kind of issues that have cropped up in the last year. Being the chairman, I would never got those requests. Nobody from council actually reached out to me and said, hey, would you find out what's going on for this particular issue or what you feel. Not exactly certain why. Didn't hurt my feelings, so I'm not put off by that at all. I just know that the chamber, it seems like council went to the chamber first. Secondly, I think through the years, because it's been a number of years that I've actually been on ACE, there have been times where I've been frustrated where we've come up with some ideas of some things that we've felt motivated to do or want to put in motion and create website, something as simple as a website, maybe something as more significant as putting together an event and kind of helping to kick that off. And it's been frustrating in the sense that I've understood more and more working with the city that our hands have been tied in being able to do those, that we're really not encouraged or empowered to do some of those things. We're more advisory, more go out and figure out what's going on and provide counsel some of that, and then let staff do that. Or in a lot of cases, we deferred to the Chamber of Commerce to do some of the things that we came up with. Not your agenda necessarily, but maybe our agenda that we were working through. So that would be my second thing that I would say. Third one, it does not escape me that we have staff support. So Darren and Shelley come at a cost to the city, and there's a cost for being able to do this. So I'm a meeting member counter, comes from my days being in software development, and I always counted heads around the table. And back in those days, those were $200 to $300 heads per hour. So I'd go around the room and I'd count the number of heads that it cost for me to do my 1 hour meeting. And, it gave me pause to not do as many meetings as maybe I should have or would have liked to, because it just wasn't cost effective. So my question sometimes has been, are we being cost effective? Are we being effective? And is it worth the staff money that we pay to be able to support ACE as a board? So those are my three things that I have. I would feel comfortable, just so you guys know where I'm coming from, having the chamber represent the business community at large. And maybe a way to encourage that, David, something for the chamber to consider, is maybe work more closely with council, or maybe do something different where those people who wanted to participate on ACE did not necessarily have to be a member of the chamber. Now that might sound weird, but that does answer one of the things that I think Drevis brought up, and that is, hey, I've got to be a member of the chamber before I can actually participate in some things that I'm passionate about in the business community. Don't know whether that's right or wrong, but that's just one of the thoughts that I've got. So what other comments do we have, or any additional discussion based on the ideas that have been brought up?
This is Judy. I just wanted to say that I appreciated David reaching out to all of us. And some of my comments were, having worked with other chambers, different parts of my career, but that there seemed to be, obviously, with his leadership and kind of a culture change, maybe here in Englewood is all that I know. But the reaching out to home-based businesses and being inclusive, and that is really key. That was one of our objectives always, and it did seem to me that over time there is a voice, as you mentioned, between council and the chamber. And not necessarily being a middle person or middle commission, but that I would agree that the timing is good for this. And I would be supportive of it. And in me choosing not to continue, I'm really going to be putting my efforts into launching my business as a wellness lifestyle advocate. The health, as a result of the pandemic, there are pros and cons, but health, all of a sudden, I'm hoping, is coming up to number one. And so I appreciate that type of inclusiveness, and the being able to kind of be part of that in the community. Thank you. And thank you very much. I really have appreciated serving on this commission. I've learned a lot from all of you, and have formed good friendships with you. So thank you very much.
Darren, do you have a copy of that motion? Or David, do you have a copy of that motion that we might be able to read? I went back and looked. It doesn't look like it's in our packet.
Brad, it's in the staff report, so I'm happy to read that into the agenda, but wanted to draw ACE's attention to the fact that there is a staff report with some background. This information also went to City Council in a council request, with some of this background, as well as the Chamber's proposal, the Chamber's presentation, a copy of ACE's enabling ordinance, and the draft motion that reads, a motion to request the City Council disband the Alliance for Commerce in Englewood and further Englewood's partnership with the Greater Englewood Chamber of Commerce by incorporating ACE's efforts into a robust chamber business advisory capacity to the City of Englewood.
Was that the actual motion made, or we were just hearing the motion? Does someone need to make that motion now?
Did we have any feedback from City Council themselves?
At this time, this topic has not been discussed formally by City Council. There's a study session scheduled for July to discuss ACE.
Well, we have a council member present. We can ask Rita for her comments.
Actually, council has not discussed this at all. I mean, I gave a report after the last ACE meeting during my council members' choice and liaison report, but it is something that council will have to take up. So there's really been no discussion about where council stands on any of this. So I don't know how helpful that is.
But Rita, it sounds like July will not be the first that council is hearing of this conversation that we're having, right? They already know based on your report that there's.
Right, they already know, and I will give a report, a liaison's report again. And actually, I didn't know that they had, and Darren, is it scheduled for a study session?
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's the case. It's July 6th. And there's some information that was sent out on a June 9th council request response.
Okay.
With all of this background.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I add one more thing, Brad?
Go for it.
I think at the end of the council meeting as well, of that meeting where council member Russell gave a report, Sean, the city manager, did mention that he had talked to city council members on his one-on-one, just to make them aware as well that this was being discussed, I think, prior to that. So I think for those that attend his one-on-one, that there was some kind of discussion, at least that they know it's going on. But to what end, I think that was not discussed as well, if that's helpful.
And I would like to share about that. He did say that at the end of the meeting. However, what he speaks with us about in the council meetings, he may be aware of the consensus on council to move forward with this or not. Council members don't know that, and we have not talked about that openly in a public meeting. And really, that is where the decision will be made, is in an open meeting when council discusses it together. So obviously, yes, the city manager did talk to me, and I'm assuming he talked to everybody else like he shared at the meeting.
Yeah. I'm sorry if I didn't mean to suggest that he knew either way. It was just responding to Nathan's question. Are people aware that the discussion's going on? It's my understanding that they know in general there's some discussion.
Okay. Can we maybe temporarily table the motion so that we have time to do two things? One, allow city council to discuss, if they're listening, to a recording of this, to discuss their thoughts, and then maybe rework the verbiage, David, that you've put together for the motion to include the idea that over time that this will eventually occur, or that's what we're looking at, and we would vote on that instead of just chopping off the head of the baby right now all at once and then not knowing how that's going to work with city council. Maybe give it a little more time.
Another thought on that, Travis, would be that if council knows that we voted in a particular, so we can't make the decision completely on our own, but if they know that we voted in a particular direction, then they have a stronger sense of what the committee wants. I don't know for sure, and I could be completely wrong on this, but I don't get the sense that all of council will listen to, committee meetings and that kind of thing. I think that's something that Rita would, since Rita's in the meeting, obviously. So I think that I would be in favor of showing council what we as a group think. And then because we can't make the full decision today without them anyways, then it kind of avoids that like really abrupt shutdown, like you were saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
And and that's my understanding as well, Travis, is that I mean, we could all of you could say yes, and then council says no, and then it doesn't happen, kind of deal. So even if you all say we would like council we're recommending that council do this, if city council says we don't want to, then it doesn't happen either. So, but you're just making the recommendation through a motion that says this is what we think. And then they have to discuss and make that decision on their own, I believe.
Okay.
So I would like to move that what Shelley had, or excuse me, Darren had read. So here I have it here, request that City Council disband the Alliance for Commerce in Englewood and to further Englewood's partnership with the Greater Englewood Chamber of Commerce by incorporating ACE's efforts into a robust chamber business advisory capacity to the City of Englewood. So I would like to move that, and my motion is looking for a second.
Second.
All right. And is there any further discussion? Okay. Shelley, why don't you do the roll call so we can vote?
Andrea Mannion,
Do I just say yes?
Or no?
Yes.
Amy Gallegos,
Yes.
Brad Nixon,
Yes.
Travis Ridley,
No, at this time.
Judith Dunlop,
Yes.
Nathan Hoag.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Okay. All right. So Nathan and Andrea, this will be a charge that you guys have going forward to work with council to answer any questions that they may have regarding this, but I don't know when council can actually work through this, but I know that we're leaving things in capable hands with the two of you.
Can we get some clarity on exactly when council will discuss this? You said July study session. Darren or Rita, do you have an actual date for that?
I'm sorry about that, Nathan. Yes, it is. Let me grab my calendar. I believe it's July 7th. Yes, give me 1 second, please. It'll be at the upcoming first study session in July. So that will be July 6th, that evening, starting on the study session. I don't know where it will be in the lineup. We will have a copy of the motion as well as additional background information on ACE for City Council, which is the information that was in the ACE packet today will also go to City Council.
And I think also the information that you just discussed in the motion, that will be included, how the motion passed, that will be included in the discussion. And if it's going to be in the study session portion of the meeting, it should be early on in the meeting. So that council meeting happens to be on a Tuesday night because the 4th of July is a holiday weekend. So.
Brad, I don't know if oh, Amy's got her hand raised.
Go ahead. Yeah, Amy, get your hand up.
I just need to say a couple of things. Unfortunately, I have an emergency patient here in a few minutes, so I just wanted to say a couple of things before I had to go. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I've been on ACE for a number of years now, and I enjoyed it and found it to be very informative and was very pleased with all of the various members throughout the years, and I'm glad that I got to serve in this capacity. I also wanted to say that no matter what happens going forward, whether we're absorbed into the chamber or whether, continue to stand on its own, I'm happy to be a friend to ACE. And so if you need me in any capacity, just give me a call, and wish everybody the best of luck going forward.
Thank you, Amy.
Amy, thank you. Stay with us as long as you can, just so we can get through the rest. But we do very much thank you for your years of service on ACE and what you've contributed. David, did you have a comment?
No, I'm good. Sorry. Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Let me move to council choice. Rita, if you have anything.
I do, and thank you. Most of the stuff I shared about the updates, that's already been discussed. The one thing I would like to do is, I know that several of you have stepped down already, regardless of what happens. I want to tell you, thank you very much for your service to the city. We greatly appreciate it, and you all have made a difference. And thank you so much for spending time on this committee. And I really think that's all that I have right now. So I wish you all the best in your next endeavor and the next step of this process. So thank you so much.
Well, I'll kick off the rest of the group because I don't want to lose Amy before I get a chance to say thanks, especially to those who are, stepping off right now. So Amy and Judy, Andrea, I know you're coming back on, but I really appreciate you guys giving countless years. Judy, you have been a great, assist for me. I know that anytime I've not been able to make it, or if I've fumbled in any way, you've caught the ball. So thank you very, very much. It's always good to know when somebody's got your back or somebody's there to hold you up. As far as the whole group is concerned, since I'm stepping off, thank you. It's been a distinct pleasure of mine to be able to serve with you, and you'll all have such great ideas. I mean, I've always looked forward to hearing the different things that people have brought to the table from the different pieces of business. I know there's members past that have since stepped off since I initially got on, and I would say the same thing about them too, the involvement that they've had. Darren, man, you are a lifesaver. Shelley, you are wonderful. This is impossible to do without the two of you. You keep us pointed in the right direction, should I say. You've clearly marked out the swim lanes for us to be able to, to keep us on track. And that's been very helpful from a chair standpoint, as well as I think for all of us. So thank you. And just so you know, Rita and the rest of you guys, I'm not going away. So you're still stuck with me, I guess. And Amy, you're stuck with the two of us on the DEA, and we still have businesses in the area. So some very close to the city of Englewood. So thanks, guys. And I'll put my my hand down and let the next person talk. Any other commissioners? David, do you have anything to add?
Well, I'll just say thank you all for your leadership and what everybody did too, and Brad and everybody that's moving off while during this time. And my understanding is without this group, the chamber may not have gotten its footing at some point. I did want to just mention on a side note, as a program note, something that I know has been very important, or at least has been at a high level of concern with some of the businesses, primarily within the district, but both in that Broadway corridor as well. We have an event coming up on Thursday. Shoot, I should have remembered that. In a couple Thursdays, I'll find the date here, to talk about homeless resources for businesses as it relates to homelessness in the district, in large part about how we can all work together to alleviate some of that. I know there was an incident most recently in front of the bank of a homeless person that was sharing obscenities with not only a customer, but a bank employee. That really raised my awareness to that. But I think the group that's been established on this panel that we'll have in a couple Thursdays is there to try to help businesses understand what resources are there and maybe what actions are available to, in a humane way of all of our citizens to try to work together on that.
David, thank you for sharing that. And I'd be really interested in that. If you could get those specifics my way, I'd love to join. Just as a
Okay.
business owner reporting to ACE at this point in time, that particular issue has gotten, it's really quite horrible. I no longer can keep my business open late at night. I've had to shut it down. I now have to have multiple employees here at any time just for safety's sake. And I had to go as far as getting a restraining order against someone from that population who was harassing my staff.
Sure.
So just as a voice chiming in there. Yeah.
And I know, as you know, you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
We've heard that from many people, and that's why I think this will be one of many conversations that need to be had. But what I was unaware of as well is that the city actually has I believe, a division dedicated to this issue, and so that there is some help that way, as well as all the other nonprofits and others that are out there trying to provide some kind of solution. It is on Thursday, June 24th. It's from 8 until 9:30, but I'll send out a information to all of you. I think it's at Nathan's place too. It's at Sacred Grace, both Zoom and in person. This is the first time we're going to try a Zoom and in-person thing and see if that works.
Yeah, and David, from what I understand, the Zoom, it might actually be more like a live stream to YouTube or Zoom or something like that. I don't think that part will be very interactive. It might be. I got to talk to Tracy about that. But if you'd like to be involved and kind of interfacing and interacting with some of the content, I think in person is strongly recommended. I don't know that we're going to be able to have much interaction via the live stream. Maybe we'll see. I'll look into that. But
David, if I could prompt you, I know that there are still some issues or concerns in the business community about the changing emergency order and how that affects restaurants. If you could talk to that just a little bit before we move on.
Sure. So I think we have reached out to every council member and shared thoughts along that line. We've received response from a handful of council members on an understanding that is a desire from the business community to keep both the shelter, the patios, the patio heaters, and the open consumption district. I know that the DDA has also shared its voice to say that they would like to see that going on. My understanding is that will be discussed. Is that maybe Monday? Is that correct, Council Member Russ? Are you guys discussing that? Maybe not. I don't know. Soon it's going to be discussed. But I think everyone in the city and council members know that businesses would like to keep those. I think there's some legal issues with some of it, if that helps. I think my understanding is the biggest issue might be the expanding the patios into parking lots that some folks have done. You probably saw that at Whiskey Biscuit. You've seen that up at Barnhouse. Some of the others, due to the ordinance of the parking requirements per square footage of a building. But I do not know how it's going to be voted. I mean, I don't have a real good sense of how it's going to be voted on, but I know that everybody's aware.
So can I just add, it is, I believe, next Monday night at a study session. It won't be voted on, obviously. Oh, okay. And that was my frustration a little bit, is that we were bringing it up in a study session rather than, however, the study session, since they've been on Zoom, most of them are special meetings, so it could be voted on, I'm assuming. Oh. They're just making sure council has gotten a lot of emails I mean, a few from businesses, but also legal information too. So anyway, it is the 21st, Monday.
But we have been active from the chamber. See you, Amy.
Hi, Amy. I would like to voice
Bye,
my,
Amy.
I would like to voice my, I guess encouragement for council to discuss it deeply, understand what the issues are and consider extending it. It's just been amazing as a patron for these, some of these places, as well as just kind of observing what it has done for business throughout the city to kind of see that dynamic. I know it presents some challenges to the city, but I would hope that there would be some creative solutions for getting around parking issues, et cetera, open alcohol consumption and everything. But it has been a real plus for everybody getting out, getting back to businesses, getting back into the community. So I do want to, give my vote for continuing it on. All right, if there's nothing else, Darren, do you have anything?
I'll be very brief, but those outgoing ACE members, thank you all for your time, service, and talent that you have lent to Englewood over your tenure. Thank you. And all new ACE members, we look forward to working on some of the next steps together. The study session that's coming up, we will, David Carroll will be invited to that discussion as chair, Nathan Hoag as vice chair, Andrea would certainly be invited to participate in that discussion on Tuesday evening. And we'll give a staff report to City Council with the same information that was in the ACE packet today. My only other comment is to remind ACE about a job fair that's coming up to support restaurant and retailers in the area. I hope that if you can't participate and you know someone that needs employees, please share this information out. It's on our city website. That's going to be Wednesday, June 16th will be the job fair. Please sign up by tomorrow afternoon, Friday at the latest. Get your room set up. We'll send out another reminder, but there's some information on the website. Please share that with your constituents. We're hearing that jobs are driving the need for jobs are driving small businesses right now, and need for labor is a big, big issue. So thanks all. Have a great afternoon. Appreciate it.
All right, do we have anything else that we need to go through?
We want to mention the All-American City voting tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So just a real quick, we all did our skit today at around 10:15. And I believe somewhere between 5 and 7 o'clock tonight, the organization that votes on that will either vote for Englewood as a finalist or the winner or not. So sometime between that period of time, we'll find out if we made it all the way.
Thank you, David. That'd be a great honor for the city of Englewood. We had so many businesses participate, members of the community participate in that discussion today and that presentation. It's a big deal for Englewood, and just to be nominated is a win in my book. But let's see if we can get this across the finish line and be one of the top 10. Thanks, Brett.
Go Englewood. All right, if there's nothing else, I say let's adjourn our meeting, and until next month when the new crew takes over.
Okay.
Signing
Brad.
off, and thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Brad.
you.
All right.